Have you ever looked in the mirror and realized you've spent the entire day wearing someone else's personality? You weren't lying, you were just adapting. Or perhaps you've stood your ground on a principle so firmly that you ended up completely alone, wondering why the rest of the world finds it so easy to sell their souls. These are the two sides of the most common identity crisis in psychology, the INFJ versus the INFP. They look identical from a distance, but inside they are governed by entirely different laws of physics. There is a specific ghost that haunts one of these types, a feeling of being a hollow vessel that only fills up when someone else enters the room. By the end of this video, you will know if that ghost is your greatest strength or the very thing keeping you from finding your true self. Most people tell you INFJs and INFPs are the same because they are both quiet dreamers. That's a shallow lie. To understand the difference, you must understand the direction of the soul. The INFJ is a mirror. Their primary emotional function, extroverted feeling, FE, points outward. They don't just see your pain, they host it. The INFP is a well. Their primary function, introverted feeling, FI, points inward. They don't absorb your emotion, they check their own internal library to see if they've ever felt a similar vibration. If you are an INFJ, you are often a stranger to yourself because you are too busy being a home for everyone else. If you are an INFP, you are often a stranger to others because your inner world is so vast and sacred, you refuse to dilute it for the sake of fitting in. Let's look at how they see time. The INFJ lives in the convergent future. Using introverted intuition, NI, they are biological algorithms. They take 1,000 data points and collapse them into a single, hauntingly accurate hunch. This is why INFJs often feel a sense of impending doom or sudden clarity. They see the end of the movie while the opening credits are still rolling. The INFP lives in the expansive possible. Using extroverted intuition, NE, they take one single idea and explode it into 1,000 possibilities. They aren't looking for the one truth, they are looking for the hidden magic. An INFJ wants to close the door and find the answer. An INFP wants to open every door just to see what's behind it. This is why the INFJ finishes the book, but the INFP starts 10 new ones. But here is where it gets dark. The INFJ's weakness is the CE grip. When overwhelmed, the organized, visionary INFJ becomes a slave to the physical. They overeat, they overspend, or they become obsessed with tiny, meaningless details in their environment. They lose their vision and get trapped in the now. The INFP's weakness is the TE grip. When the INFP feels their values are threatened, the gentle dreamer vanishes. They become cold, hyperlogical, and uncharacteristically aggressive. They start barking orders and citing facts like a drill sergeant. If you've ever had a cold snap where you became a ruthless critic of everyone's incompetence, you might be an INFP pushed to the edge. If you've ever had a sensory blackout where you just wanted to vanish into loud music and physical excess, your INFJ shadow is showing. Think about your last social gathering. Did you find yourself nodding along to someone you actually disagree with simply because the vibe of the room felt too fragile to break? That's the INFJ's burden. They value harmony over honesty. They feel that if the group is unhappy, they are unhappy. The INFP would rather be the awkward one in the corner than pretend to like something they hate. They value authenticity over harmony. To an INFP, chameleoning feels like a betrayal of the soul. The INFJ is a diplomat who loses his identity. The INFP is an individualist who loses his audience. Ask yourself these 3 questions. The energy test. After a conflict, do you feel tainted by the other person's anger, INFJ, or do you feel offended because they violated your personal code, INFP? The decision test. Do you need to talk things out to know what you think? INFJ, or do you need to go into a room alone for 3 days to process how you feel? INFP. The clutter test. Is your external world a mess, but your internal thoughts are organized into a single vision? INFJ. Or is your external world organized, but your internal thoughts are a beautiful, swirling chaos of ideas? INFP. Remember the ghost we mentioned? The vessel that only fills up when others are near? That is the INFJ's extroverted feeling. If you are an INFJ, your true self isn't a solid object you find, it's the quality of the light you reflect. You aren't hollow, you are a bridge. But if you are an INFP, your ghost is the fear that you are too much for this world, that your well is too deep for anyone to ever see the bottom. The truth is, the INFJ needs to learn to say no to the world to find their center. The INFP needs to learn to say yes to the world to share their light. You are either the mirror that shows the world its soul or the well that holds the world's secrets. Both are lonely, both are necessary. Which one are you currently protecting?